It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Well, hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talkback on this, a Tuesday. I'm Al Quartermont in today because Sandra is out, but getting to join Nathan Martin once again. We had a fun show yesterday. Looking forward to a good show today.
Yay, it's Bro Week.
Bro Week, that's right.
4 days of all testosterone.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And we'll be missing estrogen by the end of the week.
That's true. As I was driving in this morning, I had a realization.
What's that?
That I'm glad I'm not a cow or a steer, because I always drive past this field that is filled with cattle, and they were just kind of all lying on the ground this morning, because I'm sure the ground is warmer. It's a cold morning. It's only like 40 degrees out, and I'm thinking, yeah, that's right. They have to endure whatever the weather is. If it was like the other night, rainy and stormy, they're out in the middle of that, and now they're having to deal with a cold. So I'm glad I'm not one of them.
Random thoughts
of the day.
I'm with you, though. You know, yeah. I'm grateful for my nice, warm, cozy bed.
Yeah.
Did you get woken up with all the thunder and lightning? Was it Saturday night that was so loud and shaking windows and stuff?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's crazy how sometimes it can be.
I know.
I slept right through it.
Did you? Wow. Well, that's good.
I was so tired.
If you're tired enough, right? You're going to be okay. So. Well, anyway, welcome everyone. Coming up at 8:05 this morning, we have our Pineville segment, and Chief of Staff Darrell Basco will be joining us today.
Yeah, we mentioned yesterday that Mayor Bishop's brother had passed away, and they're still dealing with some of the dealings of that. And so, I visited with him yesterday after I left the show. I had my monthly meeting with him, and we actually kind of had an abbreviated meeting because of all this going on. I want to be very respectful of his time and his family. They're walking through it. He still wants to do as much as he can, but he also needs time for grieving and supporting his family. So Chief Basco will come in, Chief Operating Officer. He will fill in all the gaps for us, and we'll have a great show.
Yeah, looking forward to that. In the meantime, open line for you at 442-8255 here on the BOM Talkline. Anything that you guys would like to talk about. Last night was the NCAA championship game for men's basketball. Ended up being a close game. I don't know if I would call it a really well-played game. The second half was kind of a war of attrition, especially. Houston had built up a nice little lead, but it was a lot like the Auburn game where Florida in the second half, their defense just locked them down, and they were able to come back, and it was close back and forth down the stretch. I don't think Florida ultimately took the lead till there were like 40 seconds left in the game, and then Houston had a chance to win the game, but it was almost like that same play that you saw in the Auburn game where the guy got the ball, and when the defender came out to challenge his shot, he was already in the air, and so he knew he couldn't shoot it, so he was going to get it blocked. So instead, he tried to dribble, but he already had left his feet, so you can't do that. That's traveling, so he had to let the ball just kind of go and hoping one of his teammates could rush over and grab it as time was running out, but it got knocked away. The Florida guy fell on it, and that was it. So tough way to lose for Houston. Yeah. But a great championship for Florida.
We should have arranged for a call-in from our intrepid reporter.
Yeah.
We have a friend that's there.
That's right.
Won't mention who, but they got to witness it all, and we should have arranged for that. So maybe they'll listen on the app and call in.
Rumor has it we may be able to talk with this person tomorrow.
Oh, that would be nice.
About their experience. So
good.
Are we keeping it generic enough?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah.
But that was actually the team that I had picked to win it all. Was Florida.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So at least my bracket ended well.
Yeah.
Along the way, not so much, but
Yeah, I'd love to hear from Trish, because at one point she was saying she was like in the 90% into the third round, or
like 99%.
Yeah, I mean, wow.
I'm looking forward.
No, she said she had two brackets though, right? She had a head bracket and a heart bracket.
Right.
And I think it was the head bracket that was doing better than the heart bracket.
See, she sent me an image of her final result last night, and she picked Florida to win it all. So it says your pick won. She ended up with 96.7%.
No way.
Right.
That's stunning.
96.7%. Next year, I'm just going to have her pick my bracket.
That's in the money, isn't it?
I
don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything about betting.
I'm not sure which format she was using. It was maybe ESPN, but it shows that she was ranked 733,000.
Okay.
So you pick
700,000.
96.7% right, and it only gets you in the top 733,000.
But how many people were using it? I wonder. Do you have any way of?
Probably millions.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sure.
I mean, you can top 10%, top 5%.
Yeah.
Not
too bad.
Not too shabby.
Too shabby, as they say.
Great minds think alike.
I guess so. Another sports thing that went on yesterday was the Los Angeles Dodgers visited the White House. I don't know if you had a chance to see that, but Donald Trump was kind of enamored with Shohei Ohtani. He was talking about like how he says, Ohtani. In classic Trump fashion.
Well, he had to give some love to Steinbrenner and his beloved Yankees, but he seemed a little infatuated almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Which was fun to see that side, that human side. I remember thinking about it. I thought, he gets characterized so much or caricatured so much, and so to get to see that human, almost gleeful side was fun.
In fact, there was one moment that just kind of struck me as especially funny yesterday. This is it. Take a listen.
Congratulations, Brian. And others. We have a couple of senators here. I just don't particularly like them, so I won't introduce. Over the course of this amazing season, the members of this team... I didn't think it was that big a deal. Washington. Over the course of this amazing season, the members of this team gave us some of the most...
That's great. I only heard the first part. I never heard that extended part. So that was cool.
Well, he kind of turns back to the Dodgers, looked like one of their front office guys and says something to him, and then he comes out, I didn't think it was that big a deal. It's Washington, In other words, they should be able to take a joke, although he probably meant it. At least in the case of Adam Schiff, I know he meant that. Who's their other senator now from California? He's going to look it up quick. Because they used to have, Barbara Boxer and...
What, Feinstein?
Dianne Feinstein.
Okay, so Adam Schiff and Alex Padilla.
Alex Padilla. Wow. I never heard of him. I don't remember hearing of him. And usually I know pretty much all the names of senators, but Alex Padilla, okay, well, Trump's not a fan of either one of them. But Ohtani, they went into the Oval Office as well, and he was doing some photos with him and gave him one of his presidential pens, and then he's like, why don't you stand over by the Declaration of Independence and get a picture taken? So, and then Ohtani, he'd been a little mini slump, at least for him. He was like 1 for 11, but then last night they were playing in Washington against the Nationals, and he hit a 2-run home run in the game. So maybe the presidential visit did him some good, although the Nationals won. So the Nationals beat the Dodgers.
Isn't that something?
You never know in baseball. All right, let's go to the phones here this morning. Good morning. You're on Talkback.
Yeah, so I guess the quest for losing just a few games is less and less.
That's right. Our residential Dodger apologist is on the phone to tell us how their organization is so smart because they know how to manage the system.
That's right. Yeah.
Turn that
not working, so
they know how to manage the system because they can spend as much money as they want to. That's why.
There you go. So if they try to fix it, I don't know if I don't know what you can do to reverse that really, because they can try to lock the players out, but that's not I don't know. I don't know what you do to fix it.
Yeah, they're saying there could be a work stoppage, I think, before next season, even. So, yeah, I don't know either because
I don't know.
It's just such a market imbalance because look at the Blue Jays. They've tried to spend money to bring teams in. They're really the only game in town when you talk about Canada. Hey, so they have been trying to get big name players, but those players have gone elsewhere. In fact, they were in the running to get Ohtani when he was a free agent, but they've locked up apparently one of their own, Vladimir Guerrero. They announced yesterday, Jr. Is going to be signing a 14-year, $500 million contract.
I thought it was 15 years. My thought process is, is he going to play 15 more years?
I mean, he's probably 25, 26, so somewhere around there.
14. You're right.
Maybe, and it's the same thing that the Mets did with Juan Soto.
Yeah, he got a 15-year deal.
Yeah.
I guess You think about football and you think a 15-year career would be
right.
enormous, but in baseball, I guess you're right. It could happen.
It could happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. He is currently trying to find his age. He's 26 years old. So that would take him to 40, 41, which the way players keep themselves in shape these days, and you have the designated hitter, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
You're right.
Who's his agent?
Who's his agent? I don't know. Let me look that up. I'm going to guess Scott Boros, but we'll see. His agent, it just says it's MN2S.
Okay.
I guess that's the agency. Doesn't give a specific name. So
Barry Praver and Scott Shapiro.
All right. Who are soon to be additionally rich men.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're rich already. So it's not like he was making peanuts. But
yeah, man, I don't know. It's hey, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what happens, but it's kind of hard to win now if you're not one of the big market teams. But we did see that not long ago with when you had the World Series, when Arizona was in it. So like the smaller market teams can actually win if they get hot at the right time.
I don't know if I would consider Phoenix a small market.
It's not like LA. They don't spend the money and all. Like it just stadium's old and.
Well, they did go out and sign Corbin Burns this year, so they do have some money.
Yeah, I don't really consider it a big market. I consider like L.A. or New York big markets. So, it's definitely not Milwaukee, which I need to go to a game to one day. By the way,
yeah, you do. So, hey,
I do.
We didn't sign any free agents in the off season, so there you go. Fiscally responsible.
There you go. Well, the season is young, so we'll see what happens. Anything.
Yeah. Yep. Looking forward to it. So, all right, Brian, thank you so much for the call this morning. We need to take a break. More Talkback coming up.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Global stocks are rebounding. U.S. stock futures are showing some decent gains this morning following the biggest 3-day plunge since 2020. At the moment, investors are focused on the possibility of U.S. trade negotiations. Apple rose about 1% after the iPhone maker's shares had plunged 19% over the past 3 trading days, the biggest 3-day collapse since July of 2001. The traders are wading back into the stock market after one of the most brutal sell-offs in years, with some taking hints that President Donald Trump might be willing to ease his position on trade terms after Japan pushed ahead with talks. More Americans are tapping emergency loans from their 401ks. The CEO of retirement plan provider Empower tells Bloomberg that hardship withdrawals are running about 15 to 20% above the historical norm. Experts say an increase in withdrawals can be explained in part by newer rules, but the uptick also follows an increase in consumer prices. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Get ready, Alexandria. It's time to spring into River Pet with the 2025 Downtown Rocks free concert series. This Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m., the steps of City Hall come alive with music, fun, and community vibes. Bring your lawn chairs, your crew, and your best dance moves because downtown Alexandria is the place to be. Rain or shine, it's happening April 3rd, 10th, and 17th. Presented by the City of Alexandria, where music meets community.
In Central Louisiana, when you're talking great food, you're talking Southern Creations Country Lunch Buffet. At the base of the Jackson Street Bridge in Pineville, this Best of the Best award-winning lunch buffet is remarkable, featuring their signature fried chicken every day, an awesome variety of menu choices, and homemade desserts, including the now famous white chocolate bread pudding. No one does lunch better. Come have lunch with a friend or a group at Southern Creations. Daily menus posted on Facebook.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back here on Talkback. You know, we're talking a little bit about baseball before the break, and you were telling me that, you know, you're the kind of person just didn't really grow up as much, you know, watching baseball. And I think that baseball used to be the national pastime, and for whatever reason, over the last 20 or 30 years, they lost their footing on that. I personally think they stopped marketing the game to younger people. It used to be that kids would come home from school and watch the World Series on TV because you didn't have a lot of night games. Now, I mean, postseason, a lot of the games don't start till 8 o'clock at night. So being, you know, or 7 o'clock at night, imagine being on the East Coast and you're a little kid, you can't stay up and watch the games. So I think they lost their footing, and with the rise of the NFL and maybe to some degree the NBA as well, people just found other alternatives. But it kind of struck me yesterday. Yesterday was the day that the young man, when he was a young man, played the character, Dennis the Menace. Jay North died at the age of 73. I don't know if you ever watched Dennis the Menace, the old black and white TV show, but someone shared a clip yesterday. It was him with his friends playing baseball, and he hits a home run, but it lands right in Mr. What was his name? Bucket of water. So they're like, no, you're out, because he was carrying it, whoever the neighbor was. But what kind of struck me at the moment was when you would look back at those old black and white shows, if they ever showed sports, it was almost always baseball.
That's true.
You know, the kids growing up in the 50s.
All of them were playing sandlot baseball.
Even Mr. Ed. Remember that episode where Mr. Ed tries out for the Dodgers?
Okay, I do now. Yeah.
When he slides into home plate. And then you even had Herman Munster. He hit a baseball, you know, like a mile or so. And so the Dodgers try to sign him. So it seemed like all of those episodes that had cameos. I remember Leave It to Beaver. There was an episode where they called the Dodgers locker room and they talked to Don Drysdale. So that was then. Now, if you see any kind of sports cameo appearances, it's rarely baseball.
I just made a weird connection because of this conversation.
Uh-oh.
I Googled who was Dennis the Menace's neighbor, George Wilson.
Yeah,
right?
Mr. Wilson.
All right, Mr. Wilson. Who was the neighbor on Home Improvement? Wilson.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if that wasn't like a little throwback to him.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible.
I thought that was, never even made that connection until I just Google searched it right now.
Good point. But those old, and just watching like the dialogue in that clip yesterday of Dennis and his friends playing baseball, there's just such a wholesomeness and purity to the shows. Of course, that's at a time where broadcasting and movie production was under what was called the Hays Code. Did you know about that?
And it had to do with morality and what could be shown. You know, no toilets and no double beds and those kinds of things.
Right, exactly. So which they lifted in the late 60s. And boy, it didn't take long for movies and TV shows to go right in the sewer in terms of morals and values.
In the toilet. You can show a toilet and they put it in the toilet.
Yeah, exactly.
It was funny. There was a story this morning on the early segment about the nostalgia of the Happy Days show, and the four key actors were together for the first time in 40 years.
Yes, I saw that.
And then there was this little thing in there about how it was a show about nostalgia, which brings back nostalgia to us.
Yes,
I remember you made a comment a week or two ago about showing a clip to your students from 2006, I think.
Yes,
And then you asked them, how old were y'all? Oh, wait a minute.
None of them were born yet.
None of them were born yet.
Yeah.
And that reality of, 20 years. So when we're in the 70s, we're growing up, we come home, we watch Happy Days in the evenings, we love the show. That was only 20 years ago.
Right.
So if they made Happy Days today, it would be a show in the 1920s. I mean, in the 2000s.
Right. Like 2005.
Yeah, there was nothing significantly different about 2005. Oh, and they didn't have iPhones, maybe.
Right, exactly. Yeah. People using flip phones, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Blackberries.
Right. Remember, crackberries, as they called them.
Crackberries, yeah. Little did they know. But no, when we were watching Happy Days, it felt like the 50s were so ancient. Long. And even, that's when I started getting into collecting baseball cards, and you'd see a card from the 1950s, like, wow, that's so old. Now, if you see a card from even the 1990s, you're like, like it doesn't move the needle.
Well, I was thinking about that issue of collecting cards, whereas kids used to do that when you were a kid.
Right.
Today, it seems like card collecting is an adult activity.
It was, or it has been for a while, but in the last, really since the pandemic, it kind of sparked or reignited kids getting into it. So,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, there's a card show. There's a card show that they have in Dallas every other month. It's called the Dallas Card Show, hence the name. But it moves around in different locations near Dallas. But if you ever go to this thing, there are hundreds of dealers there. And I went, when was it? Spring, like May of 23, I think it would have been. And there were kids that were flashing wads of cash. I mean, like they had to have thousands of dollars on them. And what's really big is a lot of these kids will do their own YouTube or Instagram accounts where they just talk about the card deals that they're doing. And you'll see them walk up to a guy and they're exchanging hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of cards. And I'm like, where did these kids get the money? So there's some kids out there that are, and then that's not even the realm of Pokemon and all of that as well, which also is a lot of big money these days. So that's why if you go to like Target, you'll notice that if they stock or whenever they stock their shelves, within like an hour, every single Pokemon product is gone.
It's wild.
It is wild. It's the hot thing right now. So, and I feel bad because the kids are getting kind of aced out of that. You know, to be honest, what I see are a lot of adults. Just there.
Well, that's what I was seeing with a lot of the collectors are adults. Have you heard much about the Minecraft movie that came out recently?
Some of my students went to see it. They said, how did they term it? They said it wasn't a good movie, but it's so much fun to watch. Which
help me understand that.
Yeah, I was trying to like figure out what they
maybe it had a bunch of Easter eggs and surprises.
Probably,
if you played the game, you would recognize. But otherwise, the plot was boring or something.
Maybe kind of cheesy. So I didn't understand what they meant either by that. But it had a massive opening weekend, the largest opening weekend of any movie so far this year, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean. Well, my youngest son, he used to play that game all the time. I think he still might once in a while, but that was kind of the growing up game for people that are probably around 20 to 10 now in that age group.
Yeah, my 15-year-old son, of course, there's a few others that he likes, but he cut his teeth on Minecraft. And that was one that we felt safe letting him play.
It seems like a pretty clean, kids-friendly. And I think you have to use your mind to, like, build stuff. Is that how it works?
I think. I've never really watched. What would blow me away, though, is he would be playing a game while watching somebody else YouTube stream the game at the same time. I'm like, I know. We're creating ADD right here. I'm fostering it, you know. And then have a TV on in the background playing music and like,
I never really got into video games, even when they were becoming popular, like in the late 70s, early 80s. And, you know, people were going to the arcade to play Pac-Man and Space Invaders and all of that. I just never really liked maybe some of the sports games I'd play once in a while, but if I played a game, I had a card game called Stratomatic Baseball.
Of course, baseball.
Which I absolutely love. A friend of mine and I, we would just play for hours and hours and hours.
I need to check with Waybacks to see there was a arcade game that had it pitched a ball and you hit the button and it swung the bat. I think he may have that one. That was a fun game to play.
And a friend of mine, when I lived in Wisconsin, owned a sports collector store. And he had that game, and it would spit out baseball cards when you would score a certain amount of points.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so if you like hit like a 3-run homer, it'd spit out like 10 cards or whatever. Yeah. They were the cheap ones, but every once in a while you'd get something decent.
Well, do the cards still come with gum, or are they just straight up cards?
No, just straight cards now.
Yeah, used to be the bubble gum.
Oh, yeah, the cards were like the throw-in. It was the bubble gum that they were trying to market. So what's funny is you'll see, again, online now, YouTube or Instagram or whatever format you use, but there are a lot of people that'll open like old products, like packs from like 1984, and some of them will chew the gum, you know. And every once in a while I'll see a video where they like have someone else try it and they chew it for like 2 seconds, they got to spit it out, you know. So it's just so
can't imagine
at that age it's just so chalky, it just breaks apart, you know. But it was always the kind of gum where, and Bazooka was like this. Remember Bazooka Joe, when you would open it up and you had the little comic that was on there? But I mean, you would chew that gum for all of like 30 seconds and then the flavor was gone. And you're like, get rid of that. Yeah. So, all right, we'll take another break.
KSYL. All of us have that one friend who can just light up the room with a smile. And sadly, how many of us are just a little bit envious of that friend? Well, here's the good news. The folks over at Today's Dental in Pineville can deliver that beautiful beaming smile. Over the years, hundreds of hopeful patients have visited and been completely satisfied. They've made getting dental implants an amazingly simple, low-anxiety procedure, one that's affordable for anyone's budget. The staff at Today's Dental go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with calming in-office IV sedation that's administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist. And their multiple finance options make the entire procedure truly affordable. Isn't it your turn to light up that room? Give Today's Dental a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, Alan Nathan back with you here this morning. And a lot of the national news continues to be about what's going on with the Trump tariffs and everything. Of course, a lot of it's framed negatively, but I mean, I've seen some positive stories too. A really good story the other day I saw about how Louisiana shrimpers will benefit from this, and their industry has been pretty much decimated because of the cheap shrimp products that are coming from other countries. It's been impossible for them to really compete against that, and that's one of the shrimpers I saw interviewed said that used to come out to the particular area that he was along the Gulf, and there would be hundreds of shrimp boats. Now you just have a handful because they can't make it. They can't compete. So maybe that'll be one industry that comes back a little bit. Cattle industry has been largely supportive of this as well. It's interesting. There's a podcast that once in a while will pop up on my phone. We actually had this gentleman on our show back when we used to have Louisiana Central come on, and he is the author of the podcast called The Daily Creative. And in the episode that he had this morning that I caught for a little bit, it was called The Concept of Strategic Indifference. It's an approach to leadership and creativity. He said that Steve Jobs was kind of the prime example of this when he came back to Apple in 1997, and the company was kind of floundering. And he made some pretty bold decisions to transform the company, one of which was he decided to not put the effort or the money into, they had some kind of handheld device. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was an Apple device. And he said, no, we're putting all of our focus into, at that time, it was the iMac. And then once they developed the iMac, then that led to the other things like the iPod, and then ultimately the iPhone, which we know has revolutionized things so much. But what this concept is, strategic indifference, is the difference between prioritizing and strategic indifference, highlighting the courage it takes to purposely ignore certain tasks, even when they appear important, to concentrate on what truly matters. And I was thinking about it. He says that it's part of this is the art of not caring as a superpower, understanding the importance of timing and how strategic indifference empowers teams to thrive. And I was thinking about this in the context of what Trump is kind of doing with the tariffs right now. If you go back to the last time he was president, what did he always harp on? How great the stock market was doing. Look at your 401ks, right? And what did you hear the people on the other side always saying? Oh, the stock market isn't what the average American benefits from, you know? So now he's flipped the script to where he's saying, all right, I'm just not going to pay attention right now to what's going on with the stock market in order that we can reset all of this to put ourselves in a position that in the future, we will be so much stronger if we just weather this storm right now. And it just struck me that this concept of strategic indifference that this gentleman was talking about this morning really strikes this moment. He says it's an approach that requires courage and a clear vision, often involving letting go of seemingly essential opportunities. Prioritizing one or two critical challenges can drive immediate progress and pave the way for greater long-term growth. And I just kind of put those two together as something that kind of hit me in that way.
Well, if you can see a long-term vision for anything versus just the immediate knee-jerk, and the stock market is the immediate knee-jerk for most people.
Yeah. Look what happened yesterday.
Right. Well, there was actually a false headline, a fake headline that went out, and the stocks, completely reversed for about 50 minutes, then the White House says, no, that was fake news, and it crashes again. That's a roller coaster ride that, most wise people are not doing day trading. They're not, the people who are risky. And we had Chris Weibel on here as an interview a while back, and he did some of that.
Right.
And he doesn't recommend it for the faint of heart. But the average person who puts it in for the long term understands that it's a long play.
Yep.
And it's just going back to what we've talked about probably too many times, just the way the media wants to spin it and almost the tone of voice, the stock market fell again, it's just wanting to bring you down. But
when at the end of the day, yesterday, both the Dow Jones and S&P only lost like 1%.
And one of them was positive. I forget which one. So crazy news, the way it's being reported. But I think the long-term play, you can look at how tariffs have worked. I do think it's going to be a pain point.
Yeah.
I did see real quickly an article just now where Apple is looking at shifting their production facilities away from China because, if they already have 34%, and Trump has just said 50% more by noon today if they don't back off on theirs. And so 84%, your iPhone is going to cost a little more if that goes into effect. And so Apple's saying, okay, well, we're going to respond and put those production facilities someplace else.
And when you look at China's overall human rights violations, I don't feel sorry for them at all if they lose business. In fact, it's probably high time that we as Americans stop funding not only the growth of their military, but the ability for them to continue to violate the rights of many human beings in that country. So will some of that come?
Deal.
Yeah. And I know that a lot, China yesterday said that they were going to limit access to certain precious metals and things like that for the rest of the world, which is part of the reason why we've been in talks with like Ukraine and others to maybe get some of those from other sources instead of it just being China.
And Greenland?
Yeah, and Greenland. That's right. Right. I mean, or just even look at ship manufacturing. We don't build our ships here anymore. They're built in China. I mean, if we did come to a point of having to go to some kind of, God forbid, warlike confrontation with China, where are we going to get our ships from?
Well, there are some shipbuilding yards in New Orleans area that could ramp back up if the tariffs hit the right way. By the way, I had a picture a friend just quoted me. The NASDAQ was the one that was up yesterday. So thank you for that. I knew that one of them was.
Yeah.
So NASDAQ was positive.
It was, if you listen to the news on Sunday, you were expecting on Monday, it would be a total bloodbath and it would be like Black Monday.
Right.
Guess what didn't happen? So... All right. Why do people keep listening to these folks? Just listen to us. All right. We'll be back to tell you more right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is your Louisiana Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain, spotlighting the incredible edible egg just in time for Easter. Not only are eggs essential for Easter egg hunts across Louisiana, they also take your menu to the next level. From deviled eggs to decorating eggs, a staggering 180 million eggs are purchased for Easter celebrations every year. For delicious egg recipes, visit laeggs.com. This message is brought to you by the Louisiana Egg Commission and a certified Louisiana Farm-to-Table program.
There's no place like Stenlaw.
Wednesday evening, April 16th, the Arts Council of Central Louisiana presents Cirque Mechanics Pedal Punk at Coughlin Saunders. Pedal Punk is a steampunk-inspired acrobatic experience of excitement, artistry, and thrills. Get your tickets today.
Lace up your running shoes, grab your strollers and wagons, and join us for the Lauren Vaughn Memorial 5K Run Walk on Saturday, April the 19th. All proceeds benefit the Lauren Vaughn Memorial Scholarship at NSU. Get the details at lv5k.com.
Saturday, April 26th is Earth Day at the Alexandria Zoo. Let's team up to protect our planet. Enjoy keeper chats, activities, crafts, and demonstrations. Get the details at thealexandriazoo.com.
Have an outstanding day on Bulow Lake, Saturday, May 3rd, as the Alexandria Museum of Art's Louisiana Dragon Boat races return. Catch all the action, support a great cause, and bring the whole family. Admission is free.
Stenlaw Broadcasting, promoting true hometown pride.
Louisiana, get ready. Coming soon to a lottery retailer near you. The hottest tickets in town. The heat is on. Play Spice It Up from the lottery. Win up to $5,000. Fiery wins are ahead. When you play Fire It Up, win up to $20,000. This ticket is smoking hot. Cash in and pick up White Hot Bingo with a top prize of $30,000. Feel the sizzle and blaze your way to riches. Play Blaze It Up with a scorching top prize of $100,000. Play all 4 red-hot scratch-offs from the lottery. Also, it's a ticket for all seasons. Play Louisiana Seasons, top prize $200,000. Louisiana Lottery, giving you a reason to smile. Must be at least 21 to purchase.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, and we will go back to the phones on the BOM Bank Talk line. Good morning, you're on Talkback.
So I have a question about tariffs.
Okay.
Will the Dodgers have to pay a tariff on Shohei Ohtani?
That was actually a Babylon Bee headline the other day. That because
God, I wish I read it. I thought it up myself. Oh my goodness!
Well,
People are beating it to them.
You clearly have the same kind of humor as those guys do.
That wasn't meant as a joke. I mean, I think American baseball pastimes ought to have an equal opportunity as Japan.
Well,
Japanese. I mean, come on.
There you go. I mean, do they tariff our players that play over in Japan? I don't know.
Well, I mean, who cares about Japan? We care. We're America first, aren't we?
That's right. So, remember the movie, was it Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck, where he goes and plays in Japan and has to learn I
loved it.
That was a good movie. And the girl that he kind of liked tries to get him to eat sushi, and he said, "That's not food, that's bait."
You know what I liked about that movie? When he had a disagreement and a clash of culture and a political difference with his boss, he went down and bought a fifth of whiskey, and they sat down and talked it out like men. They didn't insult each other. They didn't protest. They sat down and they worked it out among themselves. That's a really good policy. Maybe skip the whiskey, but you could sit down and talk it out among men without getting angry.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that would work for us.
What a concept.
So I have one more question about, during your break, Dr. Mike Strange was talking about the incredible edible egg.
Yes.
So I guess since we're advertising eggs now, that the shortage and the price hike is over, or are we just trying to stir up demand around Easter egg hunts?
Probably the second point that you're making, but it does seem like a lot of egg prices have dropped, thankfully. So eggs, oil, some other things have gone down. So that's good, I think.
So you mean to tell me that commodities go up and down according to demand, and it's not Trump or Biden's fault. Who knew?
Who knew? Well, they did kill a lot of the chickens. That drove up the price of eggs for a while. But one thing about chickens is you can grow them pretty quickly.
Well, it depends on which came first, right?
That's true. Now we're getting into some serious metaphysics, though.
Well, let's start a movement to tariff athletes. Well, baseball isn't really a sport; it's a pastime. So,
true.
Let's tariff pastime.
If we're going to tariff any country, we should do the Dominican Republic because that's half the league right now.
Is that a country?
I believe so. Isn't the Dominican Republic a country?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was a failed state.
No, that would be the one right next to it, Haiti.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
you know what's interesting about Haiti? There's a great book by Jared Diamond called Collapse, and it contrasts the difference between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. You know, there's no timber in Haiti. They cut down all the trees.
Wow.
And so it's really interesting how the two people on the same island, one can subsist to the other's a failed state.
Yeah. That is incredible. And I think I've heard this before, that there's actually a wall between Haiti and the Dominican Republic because the DR doesn't want all the Haitians coming into their country. So,
how racist.
I know, right?
Are they racist?
Apparently so. All right, we're out of time for the hour. Thanks for calling again. Always good to hear from you. All right, that's going to do it for this hour. Again, coming up, Darrell Basco, Chief of Staff for the City of Pineville, after the break.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. U.S. futures markets have stabilized today. They're up about 2.5% before the opening bell as China vows to fight to the end after President Trump threatened additional 50% tariffs on Chinese imports. Beijing's foreign ministry spokesman through an interpreter.
Pressure, threats, and blackmail are not the right way to deal with China. China will take necessary measures to firmly safeguard its legitimate rights and interests.
CBS's Kelly O'Grady.
This is a refusal to back down. And I also think China is sending a message to other countries that they could be an alternative to these protectionist measures from the U.S. Now, what does that mean for consumers? It means likely that prices are going to go up.
The Supreme Court has given the green light for the Trump administration to resume deporting alleged Venezuelan gang members to prison in El Salvador. But correspondent Jan Crawford says justices have also ordered due process.
The ACLU is calling this a huge victory because it means the people who are being deported will have to get some kind of notification and also an opportunity to challenge their deportations.
Days of unrelenting rain have swollen rivers in the Ohio Valley, overflowing their banks. The water is destroying homes and businesses. CBS's Nicole Valdez is in Frankfort, Kentucky.
The flooding swamped the historic Buffalo Trace Distillery, renowned for its bourbon, which it has been producing for more than 200 years. The company says they haven't even been able to get in and look at how much their property is impacted.
Freezing temperatures could complicate the cleanup. Want to buy an electric vehicle? Maybe not.
The Gallup poll shows the number of Americans open to buying an electric vehicle has dropped to 51%, down from 59% 2 years ago. The poll doesn't explain the drop, but Gallup says interest was already waning last year before Elon Musk's foray into politics and Tesla sales plunging. Drivers were already concerned about a lack of charging stations and the driving range of EVs. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
A NASA astronaut and 2 cosmonauts have arrived at the International Space Station after blasting off from Kazakhstan this morning.
And the hatch now is open at 6:28 a.m. Central Time.
A Soyuz spacecraft carrying Johnny Kim and 2 Russian counterparts docking for an 8-month scientific research mission. New research links diabetes during pregnancy to the risk of neurodevelopmental issues.
like ADHD, autism, and intellectual disability in children. Experts say the large-scale study underscores the need for screening and early treatment in pregnant women. Dow futures up 1,000. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Jeff Palermo. Louisiana Oil and Gas Association President Mike Moncla's reaction to a $745 million verdict against Chevron to restore wetlands that a Plaquemines Parish jury said the energy company destroyed.
There's not much more to do to save the inland waters of Louisiana. It's dead. These coastal lawsuits have killed it.
There are 40 other parish lawsuits against energy companies, and Moncla says these frivolous suits will keep oil and gas companies from doing any kind of production in coastal inland waters. The Pelican Policy Institute conducted a poll to find out what voters want to see lawmakers address in the upcoming legislative session. Pelican Institute CEO Daniel Erspalmer says rising insurance cost is a major concern, with 54% strongly agreeing that lawsuit abuse is a factor.
Voters are saying, yes, this is a very important issue. They want the legislature to tackle it, and they believe lawsuit abuse is a critical component to making that fix.
LRN.
Is your home ready for the brutal summer heat? Just like your car needs a regular oil change, your AC requires professional tune-ups to prevent breakdowns when humidity and temperatures soar. Right now, Southern Air is offering a comprehensive AC tune-up for a special price of $49 per system. But you must book your appointment during April to lock in this special offer. Don't wait till your cooling system fails on the hottest day of the year. Let us bear it. Visit SouthernAirNow.com or call 318-777-5555.
Well, finally, a stretch of some really nice weather. Good morning. Our forecast on this Tuesday calling for sunny skies, afternoon highs near 75 degrees. Winds, nothing to speak of, really, just light and variable throughout the day today. Tonight, clear skies. We'll go down to 44 for the overnight low. And then for Wednesday, another beautiful day with sunny skies and the highs near 79. The good weather with us now through the end of the week. And that's your forecast from the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 43 degrees in Sedlaw.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
All right. We are back with you here on this Tuesday morning. Al Quartermont, Nathan Martin. And it's time for our monthly segment with the city of Pineville. As we mentioned in the last half hour, Mayor Bishop not able to be with us today due to the passing of his brother. We certainly extend our sympathies, but stepping in, the next best thing, the Chief of Staff, Darrell Basco. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I don't know about the next best thing, but I'll fill in when I can.
We'll sanction you as that. So let me give the correct title, Chief Operations Officer.
That's fine.
So you've gone from chief to chief.
Went from chief to chief. That's what a lot of people come up to me now, and they're like, so what do we call you? And I'll kind of point at my shirt, and they're like, oh, Chief, that's easy to remember. Yeah, okay. So, just kind of keep rolling forward with the same things.
Of course, around the newsroom back when I was there, we just called you Basco.
It seems it kind of changes. It's funny. My dad went through that evolution as time went on. when I run into people and they say, "Who was your father?" and I was like, "So which version do you want?" He was, growing up, he was Eugene, and then he was Blue Jean for a while, and he was Gene, and if it was my grandmother, he was Norbert, it was N.E. So I kind of feel like him. I'm going through the same type thing.
That's true.
A name evolution.
There you go.
It happens.
It happens, I guess.
Well, we're glad you could be with us today. Just to start off, how are things going in the city right now?
Everything's going great in Pineville. We are kind of looking forward to the 4th of July, and we're fixing to have a great event down on the river. It's not our event, but it's something that we help participate in. The Field of Honor that's coming up, the Exchange Club does it. The idea behind it is that you can go and purchase a flag from them, and they put up a flag, and it can be honoring anybody that you think's a great American. It doesn't have to be somebody that was military service. It can be mom, dad, a teacher, anybody that influenced you. Every year that field has grown bigger, and the field's the same size, but the amount of flags in the field has grown and grown and grown. We talk to the organizers all the time. They have a great foundation of what they do. We've put up some lighting last week. So at night, when you come across the Gillis Long Bridge, you'll be able to look over to the right and even see the flags at night. And it's a great thing because you purchase the flag, and when it's over with, you get to keep the flag, the pole, and the little stand so you can put it up at your house. And they even have a program. If you purchased a flag in the past, you can pay a smaller, do a smaller donation and bring your flag back.
Nice.
So I mean, it's a great thing to do that. We've got a lot of rich history that's military based in Pineville that a lot of people don't realize. We have Camp Beauregard, which is now, my wife corrects me all the time, not work
training facility, Louisiana National Guard Training Center,
something
at Pineville.
At Pineville, yeah, something like a big long word.
Leave it to the military to make something more complicated, right?
Yeah. So it's there. We've got that. We've got the Pineville National Cemetery. I always like to say we have the Pineville Veterans Administration on our side.
Pineville Procter & Gamble.
We have the Pineville Procter & Gamble. Yeah, there's things with the National Cemetery. We do the wreaths across America, and AMVETS and VFW and American Legion, and everybody comes over to Pineville to participate. And go back to maneuvers at the Bentley, and you just tie it all together. It's a rich history here with the people. We've got Revolutionary War soldiers buried at Rapid Cemetery at the foot of the Gillis Long Bridge. So it's something rich in history that we do. We try and support them as much as we can. They have some events coming up at Bulow that's their events that we're kind of helping facilitate coming up in April. Combat Vets is doing something. So, it's a great, like, what does Randy James say? My little town on the river. I'm sorry, Randy O'Neill. I'm sorry. My little town on the river. So,
Well, that giant American flag has become a focal point, and a lot of people like doing things there. In fact, last week, I think the Children's Advocacy Network did their, on the 1st of April, I believe. They do something every year. They gather around there, and different organizations, they're kind of gravitating to that space, and the city has always been, you've been constantly improving it.
Yeah, we're always trying to do that. We put up some little barbecue pits, I guess about 3 weeks ago, barbecue pits, some trash receptacles, and some tables. If you are the people that use it, we ask that you deposit your stuff in the trash receptacles when it's over with. We had a few problems initially with people going out and eating and using that and just kind of leaving their trash about. The police department helps us kind of patrol that a little bit, after hours to kind of remind people. We've done some improvements on the ground there, used some reclaim from the project we had at the airport where they tore out the old runway and put in the new to kind of level out and, fix some holes. Of course, right now the river's up. So, be careful if you go down there. You can't get down on the sandbar like you could last week. And I think we're expecting about a 10 to 11 foot increase by Friday from what it was Sunday in the river. So, if you're down there, just be careful. Don't get close to the side. It's moving pretty good right now.
For sure. Melting snow has a tendency to come south.
Melting snow. The good thing it's not going to back up. The Mississippi's supposed to get more than us from all the rain and everything they get. So luckily it doesn't back up the red. So, but one of those things. But I'm not expecting anything horrendous from it. dropped Bulow a little bit. Still don't think we're going to have any backwash, but we're going to shut the gates off just to make sure at the end of the week. We got dragon boats coming up first weekend in May. I think this is the 7th, 8th, 9th year, somewhere around there. We're glad to host them. They say we kind of laugh and talk to them about it, and they say, well, it's not a public event, it's a fundraiser for us, but it's one of the things that the public just loves to come and look at. There's no vendors or anything. It's kind of their own self-contained event, but people, the participants start showing up. They practice the week of, and then they show up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and they race till about 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and bragging rights for the next year. And so people love it. It's a great, fundraiser for the museum, which is another jewel here in Central Louisiana. And it's also the same weekend. I'll give a little plug. It's during Riverfest, so they'll have that also.
Are you going to be on the City of Pineville's Dragon Boat team?
I was going to be the drummer, but we didn't get enough people to participate, so we're going to work with them to maybe gift our boat to another local organization or maybe some high school or something. So we're working with them.
Well, I saw the call going out for people who want to join. I can't believe we didn't get enough.
Didn't get enough. We had a couple really interested people, but didn't.
I would have loved to see your costume.
Yeah, well.
Because the drummer's got to dress up.
I know, yeah. That would have been the bad things. Good things come to those who wait.
Okay, we've been robbed.
Yeah.
There's also an Easter egg hunt coming up.
Yep, we're partnering with Fort Randolph and Crystal Briley, who's the executive director out there at the River Park. They do a lot of great things throughout the year. They did a Love the Boot last weekend, which we encourage people to go participate in a Love the Boot week. This is what's going on. We had one scheduled with a bunch of North Rapids entities we were going to do yesterday, but because of all the rain that we got between Saturday and Sunday, they kind of felt it was too wet to get out and do those things. So we're going to try and reschedule in the future. But if there's something, to there. But yeah, last year the Mayor Bishop as police juryman Bishop had went out to the Easter egg hunt last year that they had, and I forgot the number, but they had a small amount of little plastic eggs for kids, and they ran out. And so whenever he became mayor this year, that was one thing that he said initially. He had told me, he said, well, I want to participate, and I don't want us to run out of eggs this year. So we've got a huge number of eggs, plastic eggs, not boiled eggs.
Show my dumb ignorance. Yesterday in my meeting with them, they talked about, I think they said there was 1,000 last year. They're going to be like 8,000 or 10,000 this year, something like that. I said, how do you boil that many eggs? And they looked at me with their plastic eggs.
Oh, plastic eggs. So it's going to be plastic eggs. It'll be Saturday, April the 19th, and it's going to be from 11 to 3:30 at Fort Randolph. They're going to do different level or different categories of Easter eggs to make sure big kids don't take little kids' eggs. So kind of age category type thing. It'll be timed. There's going to be a golden Easter egg that kids can find. They're going to do some jumpers and potato sack races and those type things for spring. They're looking at doing some food trucks and some local craft vendors kind of come out. We're kind of melding it. We used to have the 5th Saturdays. So this is kind of an opportunity for us to bring that idea of 5th Saturday back, but be able to, show one of Pineville's other jewels that we have is Fort Randolph down at the end of Riverfront Street. So to do that and kind of incorporate it all together, I think they're going to have a plant sale and a couple of other things going together. So it should be an all-day activity. Parents can come out and do some vendor shopping and let the kids go and run and frolic in the grass and get some Easter egg and some good goodies. So we've got that. Like I said, the Love the Boot, make sure you participate in those as much as possible. We've also developed a new Pineville Parks and Recreation Facebook page. So it's going to be something separate from the city. We'll share their stuff, but it's more for us to be able to go out and market our parks and recreation, the tournaments that we have, Incrediball and Dodgeball and all those other things that come about. Disc golf. We have a big disc golf course at Keys Park. There's one out at the River Park, which is behind Beulah Lake, that's owned by the Red River Waterway Commission out there. I think theirs is about I think ours is an 18 hole, and the one out there is a little bit bigger. But they have tournaments and everything, so it gives just another opportunity for us to be able to communicate with everyone, tell them what's out there. We also have a Facebook page for our community center, so if you want to try and book and see some pictures of what community centers look like, what that availability is, we have that also. So, more about enhancing communication with everybody. We're doing our text alert service for the city of Pineville, where you can text Pineville to 78015. And anytime we have a major thing, ball advisories or whatever it may be, we can have the ability to geofence some of that stuff, but sometimes you may get a ball advisory notice that's nowhere close to you. It's just because we have to be able to do it. And so, just enhance the communications, getting the word out to the public as much as that we can.
Good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back with more with Darrell Basco in our City of Pineville segment here on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
For over 35 years, Security Metal Roofing has been Cenla's trusted name for metal buildings and roofing. When it comes to the highest quality materials at rock-bottom prices and top-tier service, nobody does it better. And don't worry, great prices doesn't mean cutting corners. Our Cool Chemistry color sheeting comes with a 40-year warranty, plus the peace of mind that comes with a team that has over 150 years of combined experience. From sheeting and red iron to roll-up doors and insulation, you get more for your money at Security Metal Roofing. Whether you need a new roof, carport, or are building your dream shop, we're here to help every step of the way. Apples to apples, we won't be undersold. And that's a guarantee. Call 445-0223 for your quote today, or visit us at Security Metal Roofing on Masonic Drive in Alexandria, or online at securitymetalroofing.com. Security Metal Roofing, your local experts in metal roofing and buildings, where quality, service, and price come together.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. Like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Families are talking about University View Academy, a proven K-12 online education for families across Louisiana.
UVA is K through 12 online, tuition-free learning. It's not homeschool.
Olivia and Wyatt are able to attend live sessions online with Louisiana certified teachers, and then I can reinforce what they are learning here at home.
My kids are able to work ahead at their own pace, and they're earning valuable college credits.
Learn more and enroll at universityview.academy/Louisiana.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
All right, we're back. Darrell Basco from the City of Pineville, the Chief Operations Officer. A couple of other things we want to ask you about that are coming up this weekend. One, I drive by Bulow every day coming to work, and I noticed there's an auction that's coming up on Saturday, and I'm going to stop because I want to bid on the garbage truck.
Oh, okay. Well, sure.
How much do you think that'll go for?
I don't, I'll look at that. We've put it so the auction is 9 o'clock Saturday morning is when it is. And you can go out there at any time and look and see what's there. There's police cars. that are there, that all the lights and sirens have been removed, so nobody will be able to do that. But I kind of looked at it the other day. There's a street sweeper out there. There's a garbage truck. You know, they've got some lawnmowers that are in different parts of disrepair. And I guess if you own a grass cutting business or something, then you could go get them. But I kind of think, so who's going to come and buy a street sweeper to bring to their house? And I mean, are you going to like go up and down your driveway one time? I mean, exactly what do you do with that? So yeah, we auctioned this week at 9 a.m. This is just surplus items that have either hit the end of their life with us, like the police cars, right? Because of how those guys and gals drive fast sometimes and have to drive fast sometimes, you only hit a certain point that it becomes unsafe for them to do so because mechanical, issues or different things with it. So we've had for years in the police department, we've had a rotation where those come off and we, get to sell them. Of course, they're black and white and you think that nobody would buy them, but look, we've had previous auctions in the past and I see people driving around in black and white cars all the time.
I've seen it. That's right.
One year we made a mistake and didn't peel the police stickers off, but we've learned, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
We did that about 5 or 6 years ago, but we make sure to take all the decals off and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of people are interested in it. We've got a few, I think it's a few Ford or New Holland tractors that's out there, even some Bush Hogs, different things
They're
like that.
old New Holland tractors.
Old New Holland tractors. We even got a fire truck. There's even a fire truck out there.
Wow.
So if you need to have a fire truck on standby out at your house in case of a forest fire, anything like that, you're welcome to come out and do the bids.
I can see where like small towns or volunteer fire departments might look at something like that.
I think there are some. We've got several inquiries from some of those smaller towns or like you said, small volunteer fire departments that's asking about it and what's wrong. Of course, we point them to our fire chief and somebody in his administration to be able to talk them through, what the problems were that we took it out of service to see if that's something, try and be as upfront as we can or be as upfront as we can with anything that's wrong with any of the, mechanically wrong with the,
do you know the mechanic? Speaking of mechanics of the sale, can people go? Like, is there a viewing time before the sale that morning where they can start it up and see if it runs? Or whatever?
We'll have a crew that comes down. I think they're coming out like 7:30, 8 o'clock that morning. That from our public works department that will be there to crank every vehicle, make sure it's got fuel in it. They're the ones that can crank. I guess is the best way to put it. So the ones that's there that buyers or potential buyers will be able to hear it and listen to if there's a knock in the motor or whatever it may be. So yes, sir, we will have somebody there. I think they're coming in 7:30, 8 o'clock ish, something like that to be on site for that. So
good.
Yeah, I've noticed maybe a couple of administration vehicles like the Ford Explorer.
Yeah, I think there's one or two Ford Expeditions, the old body style that was there. I think there's two of the white ones. There maybe a white one and a black one. I think there's a Jeep Liberty that's there that was something in the administrative branch for years that they had used a little blue and or actually maybe came from the marshal's office. I don't remember, but yeah, some of those vehicles that are there.
I wonder how much those go for. No idea.
You're asking the wrong fellow.
KBB.com, KellyBlueBook.com. That'll give you a guideline to.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out and look at the VIN number and compare it to see what year it is and maybe do some Kelly Blue Book on it. That might be a good idea. Or just show up with a huge wad of money. That's what the city wants. We want you to show up with just stacks and stacks of $100 bills.
Like you're going to a trading car convention.
You can just show up and, and look out, the guy, when it gets to second call and he's right at the end, go $1,000 over.
There you go.
You can walk away with a good street sweeper.
There you go.
It can all be you.
I tell you what, if you lived in an area that you got snow, and you had a big driveway, use a street sweeper instead of like a snowblower.
Especially if you got a deal on it, right?
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
You wouldn't have to go that far.
$29.95.
There you go. Also,
wait.
I know on Saturday they're also having the Victims' Right Walk that they have every year. It starts at 10 in downtown Alexandria at the Holocaust Memorial, which is at the corner of 4th and Elliott. And they'll be walking to the Family Justice Center, which is located on Hospital Boulevard in Pineville. They'll have a police escort and all kinds of things to remember people who were victims of domestic violence and just violence in general, which I know the police departments also usually participate in that.
Right. We usually do a kind of a rolling roadblock with them for the people that do that. Us, Alexander, and the sheriff's office. The Family Justice Center is what used to be the old doctor's building on the right-hand side when you're approaching Charity. And it's a time for those victims of crime and their families to be able to come out. Always good participation since we've had it. We're glad from years ago to be able to host the Family Justice Center and be able to help facilitate getting that building to do those things. They do some fundraisers throughout the year. I think they've got one coming up at Alexander Convention Hall, some type of Cajun night or whatever that they have. So, I mean, yeah, it's a good time. They do, I think, a balloon release a couple of times they've done. I don't exactly know what's on tap for this year, but yeah, if you're traveling Saturday morning, just make sure you come down Main Street to kind of expect some delays for that. Maybe use the expressway too, but a good event.
All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot now. Okay, this is a hard charging journalist question.
Okay.
Pineville Police Department's Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Did that start when you were chief of police or after you left?
The Facebook page?
No.
The Facebook
okay, not
page
the Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
The current
no, so
navigator of it.
As much as I want to take credit for that, I can't take credit for that whatsoever. After I left and Chief 4 came in and he did some reorganization, a gentleman named Danny Swanson got promoted to sergeant.
Unmasked him just then.
I unmasked him. He got promoted to sergeant, and he became the public information officer, along with some other duties under, titles underneath his name that's there. He came over from the Investigations Bureau and moved over to there. And everywhere we go, everywhere I go, people look at me and they're like, "This is great. It's fantastic." And, Danny's a great guy, and he's been able to take things that are repeatedly, like the traffic tips that they do on Thursdays. I think it's Traffic Tip Thursday or whatever they call it, and some of the other things. And he's been able to bring humor into some serious topics that are there that, I guess I can say this now, that potentially aggravate policemen because, a lot of the things that you look at, like when people stop at a yield sign, well, that causes congestion and backup and irate drivers and driving in the left-hand lane whenever you're not supposed to, and just tons of it that's there. What I think is remarkable, I won't call the name, but if you follow the Facebook page, you've seen it. There's a gentleman that was not fond of the police department for years. And he was I don't say always, but a lot of times he came on the Facebook page and made comments that were not necessarily positive for us and whatever. And because of Sergeant Swanson's interaction with him, this guy has actually become a fan of the Pineville Police Department.
Wow. It's true. It's amazing.
And that's what social media is all about. And I hear it. I've been to Chiefs conferences, and as Councilman Martin knows, there was a lot of, I was the go into the weeds guy whenever I was chief. I always said there was a lot of madness in my head that went around. And I hear things about TikTok cops and, all this. And I understand that. There's a lot of times that there's some things that I see law enforcement officers doing on social media that I'm like, yeah, well, maybe that's not the best thing to do. But as long as you're using it as a tool to get information out to your community and to help change people's attitudes in a positive way towards law enforcement, it's a win. I don't care how you look at it, it's a win. And that's one of the things I got to, applaud him for doing. Chief 4 is hanging on a lot of things that I did, but he's bringing his own spin and his own people into it. And look, I miss being police chief every day. I miss being police chief for a lot of things I do. I enjoy what I do now. But, that's where I was at for 30 years. And it's tough to just walk away from it. But I knew that there were good people in the police department. There were good supervisors, good officers, people that came to work every day and cared about what they did. And that's part of the thing is that when you see that, if it's one person, look, if it's 100, it's great. But if you can reach out and touch one or two people and do some of those things, and, it's about making connections with the community and doing a lot of those things that, something with Mayor Bishop when he came in to segue, more on what we're trying to do on the administrative side is to, make connections throughout the community and be able to do a little bit more. There's times that there's a problem and people call and he looks at the secretary and says, what's their address? And he goes to their house. He doesn't necessarily just pick up the phone and do it. And he believes wholeheartedly in, doing those things of making those face-to-face connections. And if you've got a drainage problem, he's going to go look at what your drainage problem is. He's going to have Public Works address it. But most of the time, don't be surprised if he knocks on your door. Right. Last week we participated in something that I don't know has ever happened. We went to a luncheon last week with 2 school board members, 3 police jurymen, 2 mayors, and state representative, all from the north side of the river.
Wow.
I don't know if that's ever happened. And it was more of, I got included. I was happy to get included to be able to go to it, but it was a time to kind of fellowship, sit down and talk about the things that are going on the north side of the river, and to be able to address and focus a little bit more than we do. We didn't put it together. Representative Mike Johnson put it together, which they're preparing for the legislative session that starts next week, that we're all kind of waiting to see what happens with it, with insurance and everything else. But, it was a great thing to see those people together and talking about things that we understand we're part of Rapides Parish, but there's a lot of things that goes on the north side of the river that's important to us on a daily, on a daily time that didn't affect what's necessarily going on in Glenmore. Not that Glenmore is not just important, but it was a good thing to see those things. So, community involvement, getting people to enjoy what you do and get people to on board of your vision and what's going forward. That's what it's about. And I give credit to the police department. They're too short. So, I got to give credit to Chief Ford. We were a little bit shorter than that. I was making some of those gains, but he's made some greater gains than what I did in a short time that's there. So congratulations to him.
We need to take another break. Can you stay for another segment or you got to run?
I can stay for a little bit more.
Okay, we'll come right back.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Stock futures are bouncing higher following the biggest 3-day plunge since 2020. At the moment, investors are focused on the possibility of U.S. trade negotiations, dipping back into the market after one of the most brutal sell-offs in years, with some taking hints that President Donald Trump might be willing to ease his position on trade terms after Japan pushed ahead with talks. Prescription drugs were excluded from last week's White House tariff announcements, but the industry expects them to come soon. That has drug manufacturers rushing to reshape their supply chains, leading to a potential windfall for contractors that make medications in the U.S. Those lesser-known firms, such as Lonza, Thermo Fisher Scientific, and Catalent, help big pharma companies with their complex supply chains. And condo prices did something last month they have not done in years. The latest ICE Mortgage Monitor research shows that for the first time in more than a decade, condo prices fell year over year. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
This is Dr. Jonathan Hunter with the Clinics, where we pride ourselves in providing exceptional care. We offer a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, acute and urgent care, podiatry, and gastroenterology, along with an on-site lab and x-ray. Our new family medicine physician, Dr. Noah Miller, is accepting new patients. Same-day appointments are available, and most insurance and Medicare are accepted. The Clinics, Marksville, 4242 Highway 1192, 402-4073, online at theclinics.us.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Cenla's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt in your mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's Restaurant, 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down.
get it going slower. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad Pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Well, finally, a stretch of some really nice weather. Good morning. Our forecast on this Tuesday calling for sunny skies, afternoon highs near 75 degrees. Winds, nothing to speak of, really, just light and variable throughout the day today. Tonight, clear skies. We'll get down to 44 for the overnight low. And then for Wednesday, another beautiful day with sunny skies and the highs near 79. The good weather with us now through the end of the week. And that's your forecast from the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 46 degrees in Cenla.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, we're back. Darrell Basco from the city of Pineville. Keep him a few more minutes. We wanted to get to the fact that you guys have your city council meeting tonight starting at 5 o'clock.
Yes, tonight at 5 o'clock. So no zoning. Zoning's typically at 4:30, but we don't have anything coming from the zoning tonight. So everything will begin at 5. We always encourage public to come, attend, listen, ask questions. It's live stream. You can go to pineville.net and click a link that's there if you're not able to attend and watch it live streamed. At home, I'll just kind of briefly go over the agenda of some of the things that's going to happen. Towards the front of the meeting, we're going to recognize some police officers. On 2 separate events, we had police officers that got there before firemen, and they could put water on the fire to go in and actually do 2 different rescues of an apartment and then some houses that were burning when they got there to pull some people out. One of them was off duty. An off-duty officer was living behind or abutting adjacent to in the rear of a house that caught on fire and was able to get the gentleman out before the spread more inside of the house. And then one of the shifts responded to an apartment complex fire and was able to get some of those people out.
Wow.
Old business, some of the things that are up for final time is the Atmos franchise agreement, moving up the speed limit at Pineville High School from 15 to 20 miles an hour just during school time.
For that uphill section coming
from 165, correct. And then that's be it for old businesses. There's some new business. It's actually kind of short tonight. We're doing some technical amendments. Appendix D, when you look at our code of ordinances, Appendix D is where all our fees are at. And we found, just as a technical thing, reviewing some things, that most statutes refer to Appendix C. So I don't know if that was a typo from maybe years ago or how that actually came about. So it's a technical change where we're just correcting the correct appendix through there to make sure that it flows correctly. We didn't have codified anywhere or put in how much utility deposits were and sewer tap fees and those commercial type things. So we're increasing some of those tap fees to come up with where we're at and what it costs our utility department to actually go out and put a new sewer tap in if you're building a brand new house. So this doesn't affect anybody that's current. This is for building in the future type thing. So nobody's going to show up at your house and say, hey, I need an extra $10. I don't want anybody to misunderstand for that. Making 2 different appointments. The city of Pineville has an appointment on Waterworks District number 3 is board, and because a lot of that water comes into the city of Pineville on the kind of northeastern part of the city. So the mayor is going to ask the council to appoint Mr. Tim Ledette Sr. for that, and then ask them to reappoint Mr. Jerry Cripps to the Pineville Housing Authority that's there. And then the city marshal has asked us to surplus some items for him to be able to put into the auction. So You might be able to get a transport van out if you want that to be able to do. And that's kind of the agenda tonight. You know, you'll be able to comment on anything that's on the agenda that's there. So a real short agenda tonight, and encourage everybody to listen or either come out, whichever one you feel more comfortable doing.
So don't be late. You might miss it.
You might be late. Don't miss it. And
it does start at 5 o'clock.
Starts at 5 o'clock. At 5.
It's a new start time.
New start time.
I was going to say, didn't used to always be 6?
It was. We changed that a couple of months ago. It kind of accommodates both staff and since so many people are watching online and you're not staying up so late, getting out so late. So
that's true.
Yeah, from on the staff side, that was one of the things, and I'll go back to my old police chief had. My get off time was 4 o'clock, so I had to be back at 5:30 for zoning if we had zoning. So there I was for an hour and a half. I kind of had to figure out, okay, so what I do?
Do you even go home?
Do I even go home? Luckily I live close enough I could run home and let the dog out or whatever I need to do before my wife got home. But some of our employees, live further out than what it is, and so they're actually just kind of sitting there in a holding pattern, waiting for whatever to happen for the zoning committee or the council meeting to actually start. So and then especially when you had a long meeting, the times that you do have long meetings, that goes to 7:30 or so. Then you get home and you're like, well, I don't want to eat this late. So just trying to navigate all those things. We've moved them to 5 o'clock, and the employees were. At first, we're like, yes, thank you so much. Really appreciate
continue that.
Participate. So,
very good. All right. Well, Darrell Basco from the city of Pineville, thank you so much for coming in today. We'll look forward to catching up with you again next month.
Thank y'all for having me. Always have a great week.
Thank you, Chief.
Good. All right. More Talkback after this.
Talkback is sponsored by the clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
When the heat and humidity hit central Louisiana, keep the fun sizzling while staying cool. Bounce into excitement at our indoor trampoline park and play centers. Cool off at local area arcades, or immerse yourself in creativity at downtown art and children's museums. Beat the heat and savor the flavors at our local restaurants. Your taste buds will thank you. Strike up some fun. Hit the lanes for some cool bowling adventure. And for more cool ideas, go to AlexandriaPinevilleLA.com.
Have a Class A or B CDL? Want to drive a local route every day? If you said yes, then you're who we're looking for. Waste Connections of Alexandria, Natchitoches, and Lafayette is hiring drivers with CDL license. You'll get competitive wages, paid vacations, a company stock program, a 401k with company match, medical, dental, vision, life, and disability insurance, and a local route with you at home with your family every night. Apply now at wasteconnections.com/employment. That's wasteconnections.com.
Do you want to take a vacation every day? Do you want to know where your children are this coming summer? Then call A1 Pools now and have a swimming pool installed in your yard. A1 Pools can build your pool and have you swimming with your family before summer starts. Make a splash. Call A1 Pools now and get a free quote. Call 318-449-2093 and financing is available. Call A1 Pools now. 318-449-2093.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local radio doing local public service.
Near the end of the Civil War, 2 forts were built in Pineville to guard the Red River. Today, the fort's Randolph and Bulow State Historic Sites offers visitors an amazing glimpse back to that time. The site contains the remains of 2 old forts, a beautiful visitor center, a scenic overlook on the Red River, and a series of impressive elevated boardwalks. Learn more at Forts Randolph and Bulow State Historic Site on Facebook.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, we're back with you, Alan Nathan, here on this Tuesday, and we'll be back again tomorrow as well. We'll have our Workforce Wednesday with CLTCC at 8:05. So obviously a real hot topic right now that we've been discussing on this show, auto insurance reform. And yesterday, State Senator Blake Miguez made a post on Facebook saying that there are big plans to lower auto insurance rates in the state. He talked about the Eagles versus the turkeys. The Eagles being what he considers will be good bills to cut people's premiums. There will be HB 34, which is sponsored by Glorioso, and Senate Bill 150 by Talbot, as well as SB 209 Hodges, SB 230 Kleinpeter, SB 231 Reese, called the collateral source rule, where juries will get to hear the truth about medical bills.
And that's the one that the governor vetoed last year, if I recall, or something very similar to that.
I think you're right. There will be HB 427, sponsored by Bamberg, revisionary trusts, keeps future medical costs fair, no windfalls. HB 431 by Chenevert, modified comparative fault, no big payday if a plaintiff is more than 50% at fault. HB 434 from Jason DeWitt, no pay, no play. Plaintiffs without insurance lose the first $100,000 of their claim.
That's huge.
Yeah. HB 435 Egan, general damages caps damages at $5 million to stop runaway juries. HB 450 from Mellorine, house sleep presumption means you have to prove your injuries are legit. SB 111 from Alan Seabaugh, the Fair Defense Act allows legit defenses without penalties. And SB 148, Miguez has sponsored that himself, loser pays. This will discourage, he says, frivolous lawsuits. But then he says, watch out for the turkeys that could raise your rates. And I noticed, Nathan, that two of the bills, SB 61 and 62, are sponsored by our local state senator, Jay Luno. One talks about, he says, good credit, pay more. The other, SB 62, he says, could make insurers flee Louisiana. SB 214 from Duplessis would give less accountability for the insurance commissioner. And HB 597 by Representative Carter would be a gift to billboard lawyers.
Well, and if you also notice, Gabe Furman himself added a few more Eagles to that, to the list, things that he felt were worthy of looking at. HB 440 by Representative Henry that calls for transparency and fairness in medical billing, which I think all of us would like to see. HB 336 by Representative Wilder help prevent plaintiffs from raising their, I don't know what uninsured motorists coverage to force the case to be unfairly heard in a plaintiff-friendly venue. 439 by Abear limits attorney contingency fees on small claims. I think that one was only capped it at 10% up to $15,000, if I recall right, so that the injured persons keep more of the award. 449 by Carlson provides regarding to fees that would be reasonably expected to be earned by an attorney, and I think people don't even know what those numbers are. So if you have almost like a more openness in the fees. Representative Carver has 430, which creates the Louisiana Lawyers Advertising and Unfair Trade Practices Commission. And then 436 by Gabe himself prohibits recovery of certain damages for unauthorized aliens. And he talked about that one recently. I tell you, the one that limits you lose the first $100,000 if you didn't carry insurance. That one to me is huge because that would cut out a lot of the frivolous stuff, a lot of the low-hanging people that are suing for $20,000, $50,000, $70,000, and they're just driving around with no insurance, and they're using it as income. And that's what they're doing. So
yeah, that could be huge. It's interesting because the Miguez post, he put a picture. It's a picture that's posted on some land somewhere. It says, insurance form is coming, but beware of the turkeys. And there's an eagle on one side, which are the good bills. Then there's a turkey on the other side, which would be the not so good bills. But it's not lost on me, at least, the imagery there, because of the news we talked about yesterday, where some of the top people in Louisiana's government went with some of the top trial lawyers to Texas to a hunting lodge where they hunted turkeys. And one of those attorneys even posted a picture of himself with a big turkey that he shot. So I don't know, just saying it's kind of an interesting imagery. And let me note this as well. We did get a media advisory from Governor Landry's office that tomorrow at 10 a.m., he is holding a news conference to announce his upcoming insurance reform plan to lower prices for Louisianians. Interesting development there.
Yeah.
That's maybe he's feeling some heat from the folks.
People are paying attention.
Yes, they are.
And I also saw a news report that they're planning to bring back Amendment 2, but in bite-sized pieces.
Right.
So that will give a chance to choose the part of that they didn't like. If there was an anchovy on there they didn't like, they can vote against that one, but vote for the olives and the pepperonis that they do like.
Hold the onions. All right. We'll be right back. We'll take some more of your calls, hopefully.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Hope can strengthen. Hope can encourage. Hope can empower. Together we can educate, encourage, empower. Be the change.
Change a child's tomorrow and volunteer as a CASA today. There are over 500 children in foster care in central Louisiana, and our goal is to provide advocacy and support for every one of them. We need you to be the change for children in foster care and help change despair into hope. Volunteer trainings are going on now throughout central Louisiana and will continue throughout the year. Find out more and apply today at children'sadvocacy.net or call 318-445-5678. Don't wait to choose to be the safe adult and constant support in a child's life. Start making a difference today at children'sadvocacy.net or call 318-445-5678.
When buying a home or property, you have a choice for your real estate closing attorney. Fine Legal Services, LLC is a full-service title company offering residential and commercial real estate closings, title insurance, and more. Call your Alexandria, Louisiana attorneys, George Fine and Jeremy Cedars, at 318-767-2226 to learn more, or visit fine-lawyers.com. Let your realtor and lender know that you choose Fine Legal Services.
Feeling overwhelmed? Louisiana 988 can provide immediate emotional support. You can share as much or as little as you want with specialists. Everything you say stays between you and them. It's free, available 24/7, and most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. Call or text 988 anytime.
Teens are using social media to buy what they think are prescription pills, like Oxy, Xanax, or Adderall. But these pills are actually made with a cheaper, stronger, and more deadly synthetic called fentanyl. You cannot see it, smell it, or taste it. Naloxone and fentanyl testing strips are available for free through many community service organizations to help prevent opioid overdose. Carry naloxone and know the signs of an overdose. If you or a loved one needs help, go to opioidhelpla.org. Brought to you by the Louisiana Department of Health.
Do you have a drug problem? Do you want to stop? Well, there are folks who can help. Call Narcotics Anonymous at 1-585-DON'T-USE or visit their website at larna.org for more information.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Alan Nathan with you. We've got a few minutes left at 442-8255 if you have a question or comment, and we would love to talk with you still. Saw you brought this to my attention. There's a nice little restaurant in the Creola community, is right as you come into Grant Parish and get past Marlar Ford. It's a little restaurant that's had a couple of different iterations. I think it was a bar at one point. In fact, the bar's still in there. But Fleur Delicious, and their announcement on Facebook, this was actually a couple of days ago, due to ongoing staffing challenges, they're temporarily closing the restaurant doors effective immediately. Says they're working hard to find a solution, but unfortunately they can't maintain the quality of service that their guests deserve. Man, and you see people commenting on this are all kind of the same comments. People don't want to work anymore. You know, you just can't find people who like to work hard. And it's kind of sad.
I've only been there once. My wife and I went there one evening on purpose to go there, and we pulled in the parking lot. It was absolutely full. We walked in, every single table was full, and they're like, it's going to be probably, it could be 15 minutes, half an hour. And So we decided we went to another little place up by the little Now Church. They had a little strip mall there, and we went to a little place there. I forget the name of that.
And that's since closed.
Have they closed?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
So, because we love to support local, we love to support, mom and pops, and Florida-licious has gotten such rave reviews. It kind of stunned me to see that they're, battling that Cecil Zito and his wife run that place, and they've done a really good job with it.
Yeah, and my wife and I ate there a few weeks ago and really enjoyed it. So another kind of hidden gem up in Grand Parish is if you go all the way up to Colfax, Rue 22, which has what the term is wood-fired food. So that can be pizza, it can be sandwiches. Even they have like loaded tater tots that are really good. They're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 8, Wednesdays from 10 until 2, closed on Sundays. But that's the facility that Benita Armour owns. It's the old Grant High School, then Grant Junior High, and the amazing work that she has done with that facility to turn it into a useful community.
Yeah.
I mean, she serves the community with it. It's funny because we had the comment the other day about lawyers. Well, she's a lawyer.
Yeah.
But she cares about her community and has done a phenomenal job. And it's a very, very economical too. So, and
now you said it's not in Colfax. Is it in Dry Prong?
Dry Prong. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay. My brain glitched
bad.
on me for a second.
My bad. Dry Prong.
Yeah, they do so many good events too for the community.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they have the auditorium there that they can do things at. So it's Rue 22, wood-fired food, and like I said, it's very reasonable. And she has a lot of high school age kids that work there as well. So and they seem to have a good crop of workers. So but that's the thing too. Not a lot of people seem to hire that age group, I've noticed, anymore. But she really seems to give that age group a chance.
That's really good.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm looking forward. You made me hungry talking about it this morning. We've got Calle Fuego in Pineville opening soon. Got Little Chubby's opening soon in Pineville. You got Freddy's under construction.
Yes.
So more places to.
I'm amazed at how fast that Freddy's is going up.
It's going quick,
and I'm excited for it.
Me too. That custard is so good.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. Have a great Tuesday, and we'll be back with you again tomorrow. It'll be me and Nathan once again. So looking forward to talking with you. Have a great Tuesday.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3 Alexandria.
It's 9 o'clock.